Alright, you read the title. There's gonna be a quick one. Let's get into it, okay? So the mindset of adaptability. And by the way, I have my notes with me this time because I'm sitting down, so I think it'll be a lot easier to just articulate myself, get my point across quick and simple. You learn something and I get to make a video. So alright, let's get straight into it. So the mindset of adaptability. So what is it exactly that is a mindset of adaptability? Like, what is it, right? So I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? It doesn't take no like genius to know what that is, but let me explain anyway. The mindset that is willing to adapt to any situation in order to help you win. That's my definition of it, okay? Now, some examples, and I think these are really, really important, are one, Miyamoto Musashi. He was a Ronin way back in the day who lived by the samurai code. And basically, a Ronin is basically a masterless warrior, okay? And this guy, he won countless duels. If you listen to Joe Rogan, you might have heard about him, but he won countless duels. Like, I think it's like some ridiculous number, like 61 or something. And some of these duels were to the death too. And he had these set of principles called dokodo. If anybody knows, I might have probably butchered that, but it's fine, whatever. If anybody knows how to properly say it, please let me know. But dokodo is, I think, how you say it. But basically, he had this quote, and it goes something along the lines of, "In all things, have no preferences." In all things, have no preferences. And I don't think this directly addresses the mindset of adaptability, but you have to understand that it indirectly addresses it in a manner that's beautiful. It's great. And let me explain why. I just got something in my eye. Every time I record these videos, I always get something in my eye. It pisses me off. But oh well. Okay. So, in all things, have no preferences. So, I think what I'm really trying to get at with the mindset of adaptability is, sometimes we tend to have these very, very strict beliefs, very, very strict preferences on things, and it's very hard for us to change our minds on those things. And I think that really hinders your ability to get anywhere, whether it's your college studies, whether it's trying something new, like as simple as trying a new food or something, or learning a new skill, or really anything. Like, your preferences will kind of hinder your ability to grow from certain things. Like, for example, like this is an example that just came to my head at the top of my head. Like, lately I've been playing a lot of soccer with one of my homies, and I tend to use my right foot a lot, and I tend to be very, very biased to where I shoot as well. So trying new techniques, trying to shoot other places in the net, like something as simple as even like soccer, you could apply it to, which we're gonna get into that a little bit here. But that was one of the examples, Miyamoto Musashi. And I think it might not be a direct example, but it's still beautifully put to allow you to understand why I think a mindset of adaptability is important. You cannot constantly hold on to those things that how do I say this? You can't constantly hold on to those beliefs, and because they need to have the capability of beating those other beliefs out in the world, and they also need to be able to help you constantly and consistently grow. Like, you need to be willing to leave some things and destroy some mindsets of yours, destroy some of the things you've learned to completely rebuild and learn yourself, which gets us into our next example. And I know what some of you are gonna think immediately. All right, but hear me out. So this example is from an anime. Yeah, I know. Hear me out though. The anime is called Blue Lock, and I mean, I use these examples because I think a lot of you can relate to them, and because you might have watched the show and you might have been excited for it. I can't keep pulling prehistoric examples or some shit you're not gonna care about. Like, we're all in history class and we didn't care about that shit, okay? So I can't keep doing that. So I'm gonna pull something that's a little bit more relatable to my audience, and something that I like doing personally, which is watching anime. So One example again. All right, so Yoichi Isagi of Blue Lock. All right, so let me explain the premise of this anime a little bit so you understand what it is that I'm talking about. Basically, you have the main character Yoichi Isagi, and he's been selected as a part of this program called Blue Lock. And in Blue Lock, think of it like a battle royale of strikers. It's just a whole lot of strikers from soccer, the sport of soccer, and they're all doing like a giant, basically battle royale to see who comes up as the top striker and is able to play in Japan's national team. I think it's somewhere along those lines is what it is, the premise of the show, and so this main character, Yoichi Isagi, he has this ability of something called spatial awareness. And now, of course, you can't use that in real life, but his mindset is, I think, of one that is very, very adaptable. He knows that he's been put in a situation where if he does not adapt, he is out. You're out of Blue Lock. So yeah, the premise of a battle royale, right? The way it works is like a lot of you played Fortnite. I don't think I need to explain this, but if I do, like, you die, it's the game's over for you, you know. Or Hunger Games. Probably a lot of you have watched Hunger Games, so you know what I'm talking about, right? One person comes out on top. But I mean, there's a lot more to it in the anime, but like, let's just say that's the case, right? And so if you don't have like an impressive physique in soccer, or like some technique, some skills that you're already really, really good with, you're obviously going to need to adapt to the players that do have those, and you're going to need to adapt quick, because then you get knocked out of the selection. You get knocked out, you don't get to play for nationals in Japan, right? So this character, his entire thing is adapting and basically doing something called devouring players. So if he sees players with certain skills, then he'll basically devour them, which means that like he'll basically gain their skills. Like, he'll observe them, he'll carefully see what it is that he's missing mid-game, which of course, I get it, doesn't happen in a soccer game. No one sits there like, what can I do to score this goal? How can I get past this guy, do this? But like, there is a degree of adaptability that you need to understand. You need to understand the situation somewhat. You can't turn off your brain. So yeah, as I was saying, Yoichi Isagi, he's basically, and he's basically someone who like adapts heavily to a situation in order to then win, which is what I wrote down as my definition of adaptability: a mindset that is willing to adapt to a situation in order to help you win, right? And what I love so much about the show is like, if it's not more so adapting, it's more so also letting go of your previous beliefs and destroying them, and then incorporating new beliefs that will then help you win. Like, you cannot have a bias to that. You have to be able to be like, all right, this isn't working, I'm going to scratch this, and now I'm going to incorporate this, and hopefully this works. You can't be like, oh, I've done it for so long, this is gonna work for me. Oh, this is the way I've taken notes for college, this is just gonna work for me. It's just the way I do things, it's just more efficient. And maybe it is, maybe you're really good at that way, but you haven't tried the other methods, which is like taking notes online or taking pictures, which gives you more time to do things like study. Like, those are second order consequences that I'm not even talking about. I'm just talking about simply like adapting, right? So be willing to adapt. I mean, that's how all of us got as far as we are as a human race, right? We looked at a lion and we thought, some guy thought, I could go pet that. They tried to go pet that. It didn't work out very well for them, now did it? All right, so the next guy adapted to that. He was like, all right, look, that didn't work out very well for that dude, so I don't think I'm going to do that either. Because if he chooses to do the same thing that other guy did that got eaten, that's maladaptive. That is not going to help your situation. You're going to lose in that case, right? So, one other thing that I really, really like about this is it might not be as relevant, but like the physical, how do I say this? The physical way they show Isagi adapting, it's like these puzzle pieces. So there's like this whole meme on the internet about like, it's all over. If Isagi finishes jigsaw puzzle, it's all over. But basically, like, there's like puzzles flying all around him, and it's like it's basically I don't know what you call it, like a metaphor or whatnot for your mindset is like a whole puzzle piece. Think of it like the whole puzzle, right? And there's parts of it that aren't really going to fit or work. So you scrap those puzzle pieces and then you incorporate new ones, and now you have a completely different picture. Does that kind of make sense? So that's kind of the idea of the mindset of adaptability. Now, why would you want a mindset like this? Like, simple. The mindset helps you become more adaptable in everything, but not allowing your ego to hold on to your preferences and beliefs that hinder your growth as a person, like I was talking about earlier. You don't want to hold on to these things if they're not going to help you grow. It's just, you shouldn't be doing that. Oh, but like, that's the way I've done things, and that's the way I just like want to keep doing them, and like this especially here, this especially happens when you're in conversation with someone and they're telling you something like, hey, I do this instead and it's been helping me a lot more, and you see the results of it too, or you see how it can be more time efficient, but your ego will not let you. Your ego, deep down in your mind, you're just like, dude, like, you don't want to incorporate it because it's something he thought up of, which doesn't make any sense. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, it's hard to explain, but you won't want to do other things. You'll just listen to the person like, oh, okay, cool, that's what you do. Oh, okay, sick. And then like, don't do anything with it. You'll just be like, oh, okay. Oh, cool, you do that? Oh, okay, that's how you like have your schedule set up. Oh, it'd probably be faster if I did it that way, but you know what? Oh, it's okay. Like, I don't know. Listen to these people. Every person knows at least one thing you don't. So really take the chance to listen and see if what they're telling you is something you can take and then learn from and then adapt and then put it into your own, like you implement it and then see if you can improve. But I'll give you another example of this and then I'll end it off because I don't want this to be way longer than it needs to be. But basically, I would play this video game, and most of you that play video games will know, like Overwatch or Apex, right? I was very hard stuck on maining like one character, so I'd be a Genji main, right? And for those of you who don't know, it's basically a really, really hard character in a game, and I would keep complaining about how people would play easy characters or like meta characters, which is basically, I know this is getting hella complicated, but most effective tactic available, right? And they'd play these characters that are supposed to be really, really good at the time in the game. And I'd complain about how I'm like, dude, they're trying so hard. Why are they doing this? But you have to come to realize that they're all just playing the game. They're all playing the game. They're all playing the game, which is like, hey, I want to adapt. I want to get better. I'll be right there, bro. I want to adapt. I want to get better. And so I'm going to play the game the way it's meant. What's the phrase? Hate the game, not the player, right? I'm simply playing the game. You can't hate the rules of chess. You can't hate the rules of a video game. You can't hate any of them. Like, you're wasting your energy on the wrong thing. Don't be like me. Don't do what I did. Oh, I'm maining this character in Apex, but like going up against this character, like I'm weaker, or like Overwatch, or like I keep getting, grabbed, or all this stuff. Like, it doesn't matter, dude. Like, you have to be able to adapt to your situation and then climb based off that. Because I chose not to play multiple characters and then change my understanding of the game and grow my understanding of the game, I did not adapt and I got left behind in the ranks. And that is very similar to how it'll happen in real life if you do not learn to adapt more to your situations. But that's all I had for y'all. Peace. Take it easy.